a Conservative Party conference. Now, in terms of policy, the big topic of the day has been welfare and how to cut it. Chris Cook takes a look at what George Osborne had to say.
It's the last Conservative conference before the general election next year. The Tories need to propose some big cash-saving measures, and so they've turned to a rather familiar source of savings.
Working age benefits in Britain will have to be frozen for 2 years. This is the choice Britain needs to take to protect our economic stability and to secure a better future. The fairest way to reduce welfare bills is to make sure that benefits are not rising faster than the wages of the taxpayers who are paying for them.
I can't recall hearing him say anything about freezing the cost of living for 2 years. So that's going to have a real knock-on effect, because obviously, you know, if the cost of living carries on rising and the benefits have been frozen, then the majority of the country will end up in a worse position than what they are. So in reality, I don't think he's going to be helping them at all.
The starting point for all of this is that the coalition has set itself a target to cut the deficit by a further £37 billion by 2018-19. And it's told us that it wants to cut the first £12 billion of that by cutting spending on benefits. Today, we've got the first bit of detail. They've told us that this freeze is going to take £3 billion off the benefit bill. But it comes after lots of other benefit cuts have already been implemented. In 2010, the coalition decided that working age benefits should not normally move with retail price inflation, but at the lower consumer price inflation rate. In 2012, they overrode that decision and squeezed the growth rate for benefits down to 1% a year for 3 years. So why have the Conservatives gone to the working age benefits bill again? Well, one of the most important reasons is that the party will have calculated that it's not a very popular form of spending. When lots of people hear benefits, they really think of unemployment. They think of media depictions like Shameless and Benefit Street, a show that was filmed on this street in Birmingham. But in truth, most of the people who are affected by these cuts don't live in places like this. If I were looking for people who are going to be affected by the working age benefit squeeze, I'd come somewhere like here, just a shopping street, anywhere with a lot of people. Back in 2012, the last time there was a big squeeze in a similar sort of way, the IFS estimated that 9.5 million families would be affected by the change. That was 7 million families who had people in work, and only 2.5 million families where no one was employed.
There's a perception that there's one group of people who funds the benefit system and another group that lives off it. But it's much more complicated than that. There's a growing number of people in work receiving state support, primarily driven by low pay and getting stuck in low pay and high-cost housing. And the state is bailing these people out all the time. And we've got to deal with those root causes rather than just simply seek to cut from the working age population.
So a wide swathe of households is being affected, but there's one group that isn't.
What we've heard today is very much consistent with what's been done over the last 4 or 5 years in terms of particularly benefit changes, but also some tax changes. The old have been pretty much fully protected, whilst the young, those of working age, and particularly young people of working age, have continued to lose significantly.
So while incomes for working age families fell in the 4 years to 2012, for retired households, they rose.
They are genuinely pursuing a policy that means everyone's in it together. You cannot any longer ignore the wealthier pensioners who so far have been very well protected.
Why do you think they do it?
Well, there are votes in this and we are months away from a general election.
So benefit cuts aren't so much about unemployed and employed. The bigger divide is between the young and the old.